Welcome everybody to Agency Accelerator meeting this week. We're going to do more of a general overview, question and answers, general review on some of the topics and videos and sessions that we've had over the past 6 or 7 weeks now. I think this will be episode 8. To quickly reiterate, we've gone over how to build your agency foundation, how to figure out what your irresistible offer is, how to figure out and select the niche, and how to position your offer to that specific niche depending on what problem you're going to solve, if it's a save them money option or a make them money option, as well as how to generate traffic, both organic and through paid media, as well as doing lead generation through methods like scraping leads from websites like Built With. That was I think one of our most successful episodes where we showcased how you can scrape websites that are using old style chatbots like Intercom or things like that, and then be able to find their contact information and send them a cold email or cold call them, and then everything kind of positions everything to get to the sales meeting, and then how to run a sales meeting and focus and organize your sales pipeline with some different tools and things like that. So today will be kind of, like I said, more of a general question and answer session. Some of the things that I've seen people ask about on our YouTube as well as in my social media comments. One of the things that really kind of struck me this last week was how most AI agencies are being built backwards. And I think a lot of us on this call, as well as people who are watching on YouTube, might have felt this in the past, where we might feel so overwhelmed with the amount of AI tools and resources and things. Like if you're on any social media platform now, it seems like, if you scroll once, you see one platform that does a solution for this type of business or reason, and then you scroll again, and then there's a whole different AI tool for a whole different thing and resource. And a lot of these platforms are more generalized. So if we think about things like N8N or Make or Zapier or even GHL, there's a lot of tools out there that can do a lot of things. And this concept that I'm starting to see is how people are focusing on the building side of their platform. And we've talked about this within the context of building out your offer, which is more in line with the successful agencies that we've talked to. So let me rephrase. People are building AI agencies backward in the sense that they're focused on building out these complicated workflows or potentially building out their own dashboards and their own platform. And it's they're doing that with essentially no clients and no offer and no distribution. And what we found with the most successful agencies, and a lot of these guys are people that already have existing clients, is they have that ability to distribute pretty quickly and immediately to a lot of different clients. And so the advice I'd like to just give kind of off the top today's meeting is, instead of focusing on trying to build out all this complicated stuff, focus on trying to build out your offer and find your niche that you can lock into and start trying to get as much distribution as you possibly can through content creation and paid media. So that way you can start selling this stuff, and then you can focus on building out any additional infrastructure that you might need. And, shameless plug, this is essentially why we built Stammer in the first place, is because when I was running my agency, my website development agency, and a lot of clients were asking me to integrate AI onto their websites, we quickly saw that there was going to be a lot of other agencies that were going to go down this path of, oh, I need to build out this complicated thing in any of these automation platforms. And instead of doing that, the way that we all make money from this stuff is by selling more and getting more offers out there and doing more sales meetings and getting more people into the pipeline. And as both Tim and I are shiny object hounds and we love to build our way out of everything. We've both kind of really realized and internalized over the last couple of years that it's more about distribution and selling than it is about building. And if you're a hermit like me that likes to just, sit on my computer and just kind of like, diddle daddle away on, building out cool AI things or testing out new AI tools, you can kind of get lost in the sauce there, so to speak. So kind of a rant, half, advice of kind of what I'm seeing based off of the feedback that we're getting from clients. But especially if you're watching this and you're trying to get started, focusing on this first part of building out your agency's foundation within the context of offer and niche and sales and like how you're going to get sales is 100x more important than trying to build out a workflow when you can simply use, again, something like Stammer to have that back end available for you. Because at the end of the day, businesses and the clients that we're selling to, they don't really care about how you're doing it or even like the dashboards and things like that. They care about the results. And if you can provide them the results without you having to spend all this time building stuff, then you're able to sell to the next person a lot faster.
100%.
Was that coherent at all?
Absolutely. And I mean, it's a trap we've all fallen into, especially earlier in my kind of entrepreneurial career. It's so tempting to feel like you can just build your way out of every problem. And if you make the product as good as, perfect, which never is never possible, but you feel like if you can just do that and focus on that, it will work out in the end. But
Yeah.
you absolutely need to focus on top of funnel and marketing and finding the right customer. I mean, we see a lot of our own customers who get obsessed with building very complex solutions, right? And we know why people are leaning towards that because it feels like it's easier to sell, right? When it's something super complex and cool and amazing. But the fact is, you may not be targeting the right people. If you have a customer that wants something super complex and they won't just go with a simple chatbot use case, there's nothing stopping you from going and finding people who will. And there are a ton out there.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and, like I know no one else is on camera now, but like by a show of hands or, put ones in the chat. Like if you're deep in the AI rabbit hole, like we are, it seems like everybody is also in the AI. Like, oh, like I'm behind, or like I feel like I'm not, on top of the latest and greatest, and that's absolutely not the case for the average business owner across America or the world potentially. All of these people are still arriving at their first AI aha moment right now. And just this last week, my pickleball group. Anybody else plays pickleball? Love that. But I've met a lot of business owners through my pickleball group, and when I told them that I would start, I started this AI company, and we help businesses with implementing AI into their business. So many of them have reached out to me further to ask very simple questions of like, hey, I don't use AI at all in my business. Like, how do I do this? And it all kind of comes back to these two core concepts of how am I going to use this technology to save you money, or how am I going to use this to make you more money by doing lead generation follow up and pushing people to sales and things like that, which are like the most basic use cases of what this stuff can do. And it seems like that might not be a good enough sales tactic, but when it actually does provide results, then that's when they're even more willing to pay tons and tons of money for more of a custom solution. And that's that's the other side of this. When I would say 80 to 90%, I'd say 85% of our customers and agencies are focused on these two core offers: save money and make money within, customer support, lead generation, scheduling meetings, sales, things like that. Once a business knows that an agency is reliable, they have people that will respond to them, and they actually deliver on what they say they're going to do. What we've started to see is these other 15 to 20% of agencies start offering the crazy upsells. And this is where you start to see the things on social media like, oh, I just made $75,000 with AI. And it's because a lot of them have done smaller amounts of work, shown that they were, again, reliable, and then upselling them on more of a custom solution, which could be those crazy workflows that you see in N8N or whatever it may be. And it's all built on top of this core foundation of providing results with AI in an easy and deliverable way. So, but yeah, I'd love to hear from anybody else in the chat, or if anybody has any questions or anything related to how their AI journey is going. Love to hear from you.
Jeff, I noticed you're not on mute. Do you have something? You have a question or something you want to say?
No, no, I'm just listening.
Okay, sounds good. We have
Cool.
one question there, Ross.
Thanks for
Are the
joining.
Miro documents available to us in the original form?
I've put most of the ones that I've talked about in the school community, and I can show you where those are at. My plan is also so like we have this classroom which kind of goes over a lot of these things where I've taken bits and pieces of these screenshots. What I'm going to do over the next week or so is make a second course, a second free course in the classroom that will be essentially a log of all of these Thursday Accelerator calls, and it will have the PDF links to each of the sections, like each of these individual sections that we have talked about. I could possibly make a shareable, a shareable version of this whole thing in Miro if that's something that you'd be interested in receiving as well. I use this also as my like how I prepare for these meetings, and I go through and try to build these things throughout the week so that way I have resources to share with you guys on a weekly basis. But yeah, if that's something that you're interested in as well. Actually, the flows are useful to train the team. I just haven't seen the big picture. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah, I can do that. I'll make a copy of this and then I can post it in the school community. There's a lot here. Yes, please. Awesome. Perfect. Okay. Yeah. That sounds like it'll be something useful. Yeah, I love Miro. It's probably one of my favorite tools to use. And it's weird because it's like certain things with there's so many whiteboard applications and things out there, but the UI and the UX experience where I can right click and move the window and the ability to do, zoom in and zoom out, like it just works in the way that my brain works,
Absolutely.
which is
And it's a good
hard.
example actually of a product that is a great product, but also they do a ton of marketing. It's insane. People
Mm-hmm.
don't realize.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that could be a good example. So very recently, when we've talked about this a couple times, where we have this concept of the value ladder and moving people up from opting into to free value opt-ins. I've been posting a lot of these carousels on Instagram about AI related content. It's not about Stammer. It's not my main product or service. It's stuff around it. Instead of financial freedom and how to make money, it's like, oh, here's this AI tool to make these crazy images, and here's the prompts to do so. And as you can see, we get a lot of people to comment to get these resources for free, which fully aligns with my free value opt-in. And if I push them to my Gumroad, see, we've got almost like 2,500 downloads on this product. And this will then link to this Notion board, which has, well, first it has a direct link to one of the other products that Tim and I have built in our side project, Shiny Object Time.
Yeah,
But this also then gets people into the funnel of me to then be able to send them emails through the workflow of Gumroad, which is all free, by the way. Gumroad is all free. They just take a percentage of any revenue that you make, but If you're offering things for free, then it's all free, which is one of the reasons why I love Gumroad. And through collecting their emails for this free value offer, I can then start sending them up the chain to, hey, join our school community and learn more. And then, eventually be like, hey, are you trying to make, more money and become a SaaS guy? What is Gumroad? Gumroad is essentially, it's kind of like I don't want to say like it's an all-in-one platform. It's a way for content creators to have simple landing pages that can offer quick
Digital
value
products.
digital products in exchange for making instead of like in exchange for selling them or offering them for free. So a lot of
It's
people
really
will,
cool.
yeah, a lot of people will use this to sell stuff, but like one of the benefits is there is no monthly fee to use Gumroad. They just take a percentage of the transaction. But like I mentioned, if you're not using it to sell things, which as you can see, many of my things are free. 0.00000. And it's like on these ones that are zero, 8,500 downloads, 3,400 downloads, 2,500. Like this is how I'm able to get thousands of people to engage and opt in to get my free content. Does it have a CRM? Yeah, like Tim said, kind of. So you have the ability to see all of the people who have opted in, and they have this workflow thing which allows you to um like if someone purchases something, then you can send them an email. I do this in a different way. I port all this data over to my other CRM, GHL, which has much more advanced tools and functionality for that aspect, but that's when you start getting into the paid, GHL costs a bunch of money. So when you're first getting started, I highly recommend Gumroad because you can literally get started for free and start collecting emails for free using their email thing for free to start positioning any type of offer that you might have. And the way that I've always kind of thought about this and the way that I found success with this is if someone is interested in AI image generation, there's a small likelihood that they are going to overlap with an audience that is also interested in how AI could be used for their business. And that's where we start to think about how we position our offer for an AI agency to these types of customers. It's obviously it's not going to be every one of these 2,500 people, but the idea here is that these people are opting into you or to me, and they're looking to me as an authority figure in this space and providing them more information. And so as I've gained their trust organically, it's not through an ad, it's not through any sort of paid media, the likelihood of a percentage of these people to take further steps and further action is quite high because again, they're seeing this as value that they're getting upfront without having to pay anything. And then as we continue to move them up this ladder with different offers, we can start to make some money from them. One of the best piece of advice that I learned pretty early on that I've tried to also, distribute to everyone else is when you're starting with social media, you're at the whim of the algorithm. So if the algorithm is favoring your content, it will get a lot of likes and it will get a lot of engagement. But then if it starts to fall off, how do you keep in contact with all of these people that have engaged with your posts and your content? And it's by owning your data. And the only way to own that data is to have people give you their contact information and utilizing that in a way that's appropriate and not spammy, but again, providing more values. That way we can work them up and target those people with your offer. So capturing attention is posting on Instagram. Establishing trust is getting them to opt in for something for free and not selling them immediately. And then through that, we're building our list through user opt-ins. And then as we're building our list, we're going to continue to provide more free value and then retarget them with our offer as they become more engaged and have more trust. So, yeah,
Absolutely.
all kind of stemming. Gary Vee's been, I mean, as much as I find Gary Vee annoying and his content annoying, his, I would say, original thinking about a lot of topics comes to kind of bite me in the ass a lot. And over the last like 5 years or so, numerous times where I'm like, oh my gosh, Gary Vee was talking about this 2 years ago or 3 years ago. And it's what we're talking about here with this providing value and then selling is basically the title of one of his books called Jab, 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 Right Hook, where the jab, jab, jab is you're providing value, 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 value. And then you make the right hook, which is the direct ask to monetize them in some way. And
Absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah, and it's all about switching from more of a. It's been a journey for all of us involved with the past, especially over the past 2 years. But you have to switch out of this kind of consumer mindset into more of an entrepreneurial mindset. And a lot of the things you think are how the world works as a consumer are actually not the case. And if, one weird example is that people behave so much differently than they say that they will behave, right? People claim they don't like emails, they don't like newsletters, blah, blah, but continually they sign up for the ones that they're concerned with. And that's just one example of these kinds of things. But you have to switch away from this consumer mindset, more to an entrepreneurial mindset. And these topics that these people talk about, Gary Vee, I can't remember the guy with the nose thing he always wears, but all
uh,
these people, their content is very valuable.
yeah, Hermosi.
Hermosi, yeah. Dan Martell is one we've been looking at recently. And you'll notice with his content, I mean, it's perfect. It's exactly what Ross is talking about. He's not talking about the companies he runs and the VC stuff he's doing. He's talking about general like topics like productivity topics, AI now even, and even just, inspirational topics. But it gets everyone into his funnel.
Yeah. I can't wait to have the McLaren and the Lamborghini to lower my CPMs. That's one of the greatest stories I've ever heard. For those of us not aware, is always thanks for joining, Steve. Great to have you. See you next week. One of the greatest stories was how this online marketer guy,
Yep.
and he was running ads, and he was like, yeah, the second I started showing my Rolex and a McLaren in my ads, my CPM dropped by like 40 to 50%. Means that his ads went so much further. And it's like, yeah, a lot of people say that that stuff doesn't influence them, or that, that
Right.
monetary stuff doesn't influence them, or that type of, I mean, that type of content in general, but it does work. I mean, and that's the perfect example of Ty Lopez Lamborghini here in my garage, here in my
Yeah,
garage. It's classic. It's cringy as hell, but like, hey, if it works, it works. And
it works.
who am I to say anything different?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we should wrap this up and get over to the support call.
Oh, yeah. Yep. I'll probably be a little late. I need to take a breather, but
It
thanks
sounds good.
everyone.
I'll join and take care of it, but I'll probably be
Okay.
like a minute late. But I'll see you guys there if anyone joins.
Cool. All right. Well, thanks everyone for
All right.
joining, and we'll see you guys next week. Take care.
Talk to you all later. Bye bye.